process today, you guys. YouTube did not want me to go live. And then Patreon wasn't letting me post it. The whole thing. Jeez. Complicated today. Like I haven't been doing this for the past several weeks. Okay. If any of you are in the YouTube live chat, if you could make a comment there, I would appreciate it, because last time it wasn't telling me, and somebody messaged me and was like, hey, there are comments on YouTube, but I wasn't seeing them. So we're going to see if it's going to work for me this week. I saw Levon say hi. Hi, Levon. But yeah, I just thought, I felt like we got some people in the live last time at this time, and I got done editing Haley's chapter, and I was like, I want to talk to my people. So jumped on here to say hi to you guys. Allison, thank you. I see your comment and all the smiley faces. I appreciate that. But yeah, I edited Haley's chapter. I'm up to the chapter where she had just passed out from uncharming Vanessa. So I just did Eric's chapter on that. And now we're to where she meets the fairy goddess. So slowly but surely working through all the edits. And really excited about tomorrow's short, you guys. I love writing. I really like Aiden's character, and I really like writing some things that we don't see or know about him. So this next outtake is from him, and we see a side of him that we haven't seen. We see more of the king part of him, and we see we get a little more insight to why he and Arian stepped back and kind of watched Haley be teased and get hurt for being a partial fairy. So we get some of those answers. So really, really excited about tomorrow's outtake. Does anybody have any questions? Or questions about Reyes Takura, where that's heading, what that's going into, and future books, and where anything else is at. I have seen some people wondering about updates when I'm a little later. My goal is to post by 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. If I'm going to be later than that, I will let you guys know. I've been a little bit ahead, so I have been posting earlier, but just so you guys are aware, that's going on. Allie, in Rey Secure Reality, do the Connors family have the No Secrets rule? Yes, they do. They do have the No Secrets rule, but as we saw in the last outtake with Nathan, it is Cassandra's rule, but for her, she's always the exception because she's always right. So she gets to have her secrets, but she doesn't want anyone else to have them from her. That's kind of her character's dynamic. I saw a bunch of people commenting that they still didn't like Cassandra. The goal of that outtake was not to excuse her behavior or make anybody change their opinion about her. It's just giving the character some backstory. It was a fan request of how she feels. I, of course, know all their motivations and everything. It's just kind of giving Cassandra's character some more in-depth and more understanding to what's going on in her mind. That doesn't make her right in what she's doing. It's just where her head's at. Have I picked out which book I'll do next? We are going to be in EJ's book next. So we're going to jump out of the Ribbon Reality, and I think what we're going to do is go through. Here's where I can't decide. I believe Phelan taking Haley to Arthur is the one that won the poll. I'll have to look back and see if any more votes had come through. But my thought process is the next book we're going to go into is EJ's. We're going to have to get creative at a certain point in his book because we can't talk about Cassie and her mate because that's in Cassie's book. Now, Cassie's book, I think, is not going to be as big as all the other books. But I promise you, Alexander's will make up for that because, guys, that outline is insane and there's so much that happens. I don't even know if it's all going to be one book. We might have to split his book into two. Not sure how that's going to work. We'll just see how it goes. But Alexander and his book have got a lot going on. My quandary, I guess, is after Alexander's book, if I'm going to jump into the ribbon and do that book that you guys agreed and voted for to be next, or if I'm going to jump into a different character's book whose outline came to me and is going to bring that character that we haven't seen for the partial siren into that. So that's where the decision comes. If I'm going to jump back into Ribbon Reality after that book or after Alexander's. So that is good afternoon, Nicole. Sammy, are we going to hear more about Nathan's parents? So I have had this on my personal list as an outtake for Nathan challenging his dad and taking over. There is a lot going on, like in Nathan's backstory. So I have that on my personal list. So we'll see when we get to that. But I do have all of that. I know all of what's gone on there, and I would love to share that with you guys. We'll see when I get to it. Allie, why is it important to the Hakura to wait till they get married? Why is it important to the Hakura to wait to get married, and why is it important to the wolves to get married quickly? So it's a realm difference, and it's a possessiveness difference. So the Hakura live by themselves. They're not with any other supernaturals. So to them, like, they're with each other, they consider each other family, they have children together. Their relationships are about a lot of communication and, hey, I'm going to go do my own thing. You do your thing. Cool. But they only live amongst each other, and they all respect that way of living. So you get to the earthly realm, and there are several supernatural groups living in that realm. So for them, for the wolves, it's very different. Like, they have an animalistic side that wants to be with their mate and their mate only, and they want everyone to know, like, that's my mate, and you back off, and I'm going to tie myself to you in every single way. Let me know if that answers your question. But that's kind of their difference, is the Hakura are off in their own realm. Like, they visit other realms, but they always go back to their own realm, and everyone respects that there. So to them, they're not rushing because they know they have time. Like, you're my person. That is what it is. Like, we respect each other in their own minds. Like, it's just a piece of paper and a name change. So to them, it's not a big deal. But again, they live on their own. There's no other supernaturals, no humans in there to try to, create some conflict between them. It's everybody's respectful of that. The recent outtakes, we'll hear more about Eric's grandparents and said grandparents being a part of the ring. I have not said that they are a part of the ring, but I do have outtakes planned of their stuff. Nathan's dad is not a good guy, and I think we can get that from the most recent outtake. Lucy, hello, lovely. Hello. Very excited for the triplets stories. Would love to read some of the triplets talking, being mischievous. Oh, we will see them talking and being mischievous. Don't you worry. I love to be able to mind Link's sibling banter. Oh, they mind Link a lot. They are a handful. They are so much fun. I'm really excited for their books. Let's see, Allie, that did answer her question. Woohoo! Yay. Sammy, by the way, I adore your books. Thank you. I'm very glad that you guys do love the books. And as much as I do, I get very excited and very into the books. It's so nice to talk to you guys and kind of see these questions and feedback, because I do bounce things off my husband on occasion, but he doesn't really get into it or that excited about it. He's a very straight, he's a very calm human being, and I am not. I'm all over the place. So he's very much needed for me. He's very calm and calming for me. But it's so nice to talk to you guys and hear your feedback about the stories, and if you're liking where everything's going, and like I said, I have no chill on these lives. Like when you guys start asking questions about the triplets or other future books. So because I'm so excited about the outlines that I have in my head. So, well, in my head, I have outlines, like physical outlines of the books. But like certain like sticking points are in my head, and I kind of go through those and I get really excited about them. So let's see. In Race to Cure, are we going to see the ring get Haley? If so, I hope she doesn't face what our other Haley dealt with Fabian. Okay, so this Haley's version of everything is very different. We see that everyone is aware that they want her. Like in my head, one of the biggest mistakes the ring in this reality has made is they have made Titus very aware of the fact that they want Haley when he was already aware because a different reality came and told him. So they have made a very egregious error, in my opinion, by letting him know and taunting him. They are taunting him. Like the warlock told him that Satan's coven is the one sending them so that Titus can't figure out where they're coming from, but they're taunting him with his daughter, his only daughter. And he has made a vow that she will not suffer what the other her suffered. So they have made a serious error in judgment trying to taunt the king of the Hakura, and in doing so taunting her brothers, who are all the princes and one is the crown prince. Like this is a huge mistake on their part. Haley is going to have some conflict in this book. We'll have to see how that turns out. But as far as her dealing with things that she dealt with Fabian, Fabian is dead. So she's not going to suffer years and years and years of abuse. So we'll have to see how it comes into play with her, because obviously, you know, the warlock said, like, you've brought her out into play and now people will come for her now. So we're going to see how that goes and see what that is. But again, Titus has been preparing for this for 17 years because he's known who her mate was all along. So they have just made him hyper aware of everything that's going on. So they have made a serious error on their parts that they did not make in our original reality. So, are we going to see an outtake of the siblings the first time they shifted on Dylan? We have that outtake. That outtake is posted on Patreon and in the Facebook group. So that one is there. Is it called the Triplets First Shift? It's called something like that, but it's in the Patreon group. Mensa, hi. Why did the Hakura feel it necessary to have off periods instead of being faithful? They're around for a very long time. To them, it is very natural to do that. So they're just around for a long time and enjoy exploring their sexuality and other things about themselves. It's just their culture. It's how they grew up. It's completely normal to them. So to them, it's not about not being faithful. It's about being respectful and having a conversation with your spouse about what you want. So it's just a different way of life for them. I'm curious if Haley will want an off period. I kind of doubt it, but just wondering. So Haley was raised there, so to her that's normal if that's something that Eric wanted. But for her, and she is the pure of heart fairy. Like we saw, she messed around with exes, but they didn't have sex because to her it didn't feel right. And in any sort of situation, even if she was like, okay, you want to do an off period, I'm going to try, she was still not going to have sex with somebody else. And now they're twice light bound, so she's very different just because of her fairy side. So no, she is not going to want an off period. We'll see her like be a little confused about her feelings about that. Kind of like we saw her confused about when Cassandra mentioned that she knew Eric and Haley weren't engaged because she wasn't wearing an engagement ring. So Haley knows that Eric has one and she was excited about that. And she was like, whoa, where's that coming from? Not thinking about that. So things are a little different to her. This ribbon has made me start to love Aiden and Arian. I would love to see the three siblings have a fun chapter. Maybe go to Disney or something. We will see the siblings here in a little bit have a chapter because Arian said he's going to hang out more often. And Aiden likes being around both Arian and Haley. They have a good time together. I love writing their relationship without interference from anybody because it shows how it was supposed to be all along. So I know there's probably some hate for our original reality Arian, and the Patreons probably understand a little bit more about Arian because we have those outtakes learning more about him. He's a hard one for me because my heart breaks for how his story went in our original reality, but there was just no way around it. So that was sad for me. Will any version of Cassandra treat Haley as she should? The outtake showed her heart, and I'm curious if there are any realities where we show her in a good light. So, to me, in our original reality, like, there are little things you can catch about Cassandra, like, now that you know more about her personality. But in the beginning, I think you saw her treat Haley with a lot more respect than she has in this Raised Secure reality. So Cassandra is going to be Cassandra through everything. So to me, people like Cassandra. They are perfectly nice and very happy as long as things are going their way. So we will see some realities where she is happy because things are going exactly how she wants them to go. There's just that, point where it doesn't, and we'll just have to see how her character develops with some of the other Haleys. So there are quite a few at this point in other realities. But to me, Cassandra's a person who, when things go the way she wants, she is perfectly nice, and she is a nice person to other people. It's just when you start to realize little things about how she says a certain thing or whatever, it can get a little complicated. But Cassandra does do nice things, and she does have good motivations in her. She's just not dealing well with not being seen how she would like to be seen, I guess is the way to say that. I recently reread book 2, and Claudia had Lacey sign a contract with Earth Fairies. Did the fairies give Claudia anything for that contract? Of course they did. So there's always a trade involved with fairies. Claudia just wanted a more powerful relic because it wasn't working on Eric anymore because Haley was around. And we could see a little bit with the Haley situation, like she was trying to just get a more powerful way to get in Eric's head, even though Haley was in the picture. So there was absolutely reason for it. But she had selfish motivations for it anyway because she wanted Christy to be with Lucas and she wanted to be with Eric. So they wanted Lacey out of the way. So she had selfish motivations. So she didn't get as much out of the fairies as she probably would have liked because they know your motivations and they know that she wanted Lacey out of her way. Did Veronica kill Alania? We are going to find that out. I will say that answer will come out to this group as a whole well before, but that's also going to come out in EJ's book. So we will find out either if what we think happened to her happened or if something else happened to her, if Veronica got to her, if somebody else did. Because there's a lot of people mad at this woman at this point. So we will see. Or, in true Alania fashion, is she selfish enough to commit suicide? Because at this point, we can see how truly selfish she is. So, we'll have to, that's on the table. That's an option. She's selfish and she knows that the walls have closed in. So we'll have to see her reaction and what she does. Also, I'm sure this will be cemented in other people's minds after tomorrow's outtake. So Dakota just wanted to say hi. Hi, Dakota. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the books. How much has this world that you've created changed, evolved from when you wrote your first book to now? So changed and evolved. I would say the biggest change in this world is when I was writing the first book. I originally didn't have the ribbon and alternate realities into it. I just fell so in love with Haley and Eric's character that I didn't want to give them up. So I was like, how can I keep writing about them but not the same story? And then I just thought, well, what if, she's a fairy, like alternate realities that, are in different places in Haley and Eric's lives, and how like they could change, just small decisions here and there could change things. I would say that's the biggest change. Evolving, I would say I've had our core characters' kids planned out, but kind of the more I sit with them, sometimes their stories just come to me. And I would say the other thing that has evolved with the Facebook group is I have outlines for Bjorn and Astrid and Marcus and Torby and Logan and Katie and Marabella and Tucker, like little outlines I didn't really plan on doing, but you guys showed a lot of love for them, and were like, I would totally be interested in reading their story. So I would say things evolved that way with that. Let me know if that answers your question. Glad you can enjoy this platform. It's fun. I really enjoy this platform because, as I said, I did a lot of research into when you guys asked for payment options. So to me, this platform lets me do the most with that. So the first 2 tiers are just kind of for the people who are like, I want to pay you for the work that you're doing on Dream. And then, Popping Fairy is where it gets like into the extras and the outtakes and stuff. And then later on the fan requests and stuff. That's why the tiers are set up that way. It's for the people who like, I just want to pay you for your work, $3 to $5. That is what it is. It's $10 where you start getting a little bit of extras, but the 3 and the 5 still get little extras like these lives and the playlists. And I'm sure you guys noticed this last few chapters. I was like, hey, I'm going to tell you where like this is what's playing in the background, and like as I write this, or this is where an inspiration for a scene came from, and the polls. So I really do love this platform. Do you know what Eric and Haley's children will grow up to do? Yes, I do. I know what all of them do. There have been little hints for what they do. So I do know what they do. I know what Emily's children do, and Lexi's. So I noticed that you have more people in fan request tiers than days in the month. What are some examples of fan requests we can do that aren't scenes? I have told people that have fan requests, like, you can talk to me. We can have a conversation. I'm open to any type of requests. I do have more people in a fan request tier than there are days in the month. But to me, that's fine, because I have a running list, and I have all your names in an Excel spreadsheet, and I mark down when you tell me your request for a month. It's just, the list I'll get to those as I go through them. But if there are different ideas for fan requests, like I've told people, like, I'm up for the conversation. It does not have to be a scene request. It can be something else. So if you have ideas, we can chat about them. I have thought of a few other things. I guess the top one in my mind is, we all know there are tons of characters in this universe. So if you were ever like, hey, I'd like to see a character with this name, I wouldn't promise it would be a big character or anything like that. But we could have that discussion. Obviously, if it gets to a point where everybody wants to name somebody, that's not going to work. But like I said, I will always be upfront and honest with you guys about what's going to work and what's not. But we can absolutely discuss other types of fan requests. Okay, let's see. Where did I leave off on the questions here? The ribbon has made me start to love. Okay, no, we read that. Will we ever find out more information on Sophia's mate? So that's on my personal list of how Sophia met Teak. As we know in this reality, Heath's next string is going to be Allie. And Sophia's mate is Teak in this reality too. I I guess that is something somebody asked me what changed in this universe. So originally in Lexi's book, I had planned in Raised to Cura to see Sophia and Heath together, but over the course of writing the book and writing the outtakes with Heath and Allie, like I fell in love with those two together and just couldn't see them with anybody else. So that changed in this book. So that happened. Will we hear more about his tech in this book? So the most in my outlines that we hear about his tech is in Mini-Me's world, because yeah, that's where we hear the most about him. We will hear about him in this book. He's around. He's doing stuff, but currently, as it stands, where we learn and see the most about him is Mini-Me's world, because that's actually where we're going to see what went down with Oregon, and it's different in that world because she's been there longer, and she knows Eric. So in Mini-Me's world, when that whole thing happens with Oregon, she goes to Eric, and that's not the first and only time something happens that she goes to Eric, and Eric comes back pissed as all get out. So we learn the most about his tech in that outline right now. So far, I mean, I add things into my outline. I have like the big themes and some smaller themes, but sometimes as I'm writing, things just organically come out. So we'll have to see. When will we see Haley and Eric's kids be born? In EJ's book. So the kids up to this. So we saw in today's outtake that Haley mentioned she wants 20 kids, but when she turns 100, she might want more. So leaving myself opening to them having more kids as they have grandkids. But we will see their kids born in EJ's book. So some of them we will see born, some of them will be around, and it'll be mentioned because we're going to skip around a little bit in ages in EJ's book. So we will see that. Did any of the Hakura prince's mates changed in Raised to Cura? To be perfectly honest, one has. I haven't decided about the rest. That's why they haven't been mentioned. Because just trying to think about them and how that all works. As we've seen, Darren Harold's mates changed. To me, we didn't really get to connect too much to any of the other Hakura mates that have not been mentioned yet. To me, Harper, Kalista, Gunnar, they're always going to be in their little throuple. Marcus and Bjorn are always going to be with Torby and Astrid, and Logan is always going to be with Katie. The rest of them, trying to decide if I'm going to bring in those characters and kind of cement them, or if I'm going to change them around with people. So we're just going to see. You guys will find out with me, I guess, as I write and kind of, this might sound weird, but like have conversations with my characters about how that goes. Because in my head, I talk to them like a normal person. Will Arian's mate change? We're going to see. We're going to see if his mate changes. He has not met her yet. So we will see. I will say, I think, at least in one of these realities, I think Arian and Megan deserve a real chance to see how they are as a couple. So we'll see if that's this reality. If it's all realities, we'll just have to see how that goes. Is there a reality where Haley likes witches? She doesn't mind them in this one. She hasn't said many bad things about them. She hasn't really had many bad interactions with them. She hasn't called any of them, witch bitches or anything like that. So in this reality, she doesn't really mind them. She's been kind of sheltered in this reality because they're scared to let her out because they know all this stuff that people want her to do. They wanted her to have this really protected and sheltered childhood, and she did to an extent. Like, they're still the protectors of the realms. She can still protect herself. She still went out on missions, but she has not interacted with many other supernaturals outside of the Hood and a few fairies here and there that she's mostly related to, or Aiden is related to. So what happened to King Damon's child from Haley's book? Her name is actually Sophia. But she was mentioned in this book. So it's mentioned that they have Sir Arthur poised to take power in Tennessee, and it's going to happen soon now because Haley is with Eric. So the Hakura had planned for him to take over, and Bjorn has agreed for a period of time to be Sophia only in his off periods. So that's how they made the deal with her. She's going to bring Daemon to her side, and Sir Arthur's going to take over in Tennessee. So she is at play here. And I think I said it was a decade. I think it's a decade of Bjorn's off periods being only with her. So Bjorn made that deal to protect his sister. So she is around. In Raised to Kura, when the wolves want to implement the Hakura mating ritual, won't the women always hunt since the guys are normally in power positions? Kind of. So in their pack, like they could have a sister who found their mate, but they don't have that right now. So if their pack, if they had that, then obviously the guys would get to hunt. They also have the lead female warrior already because Haley gave them that idea, so they will have that. But for the most part, yes. Yes, it is going to be the girls. Let's see. When will we see our Haley in Raised Kura? It would be funny if her and Eric popped in while they were getting busy. So we are going to see them pop into this reality. I'm not going to tell you when, but I will tell you both of them do come to this reality, and we see a very interesting scene with Haley and Arian, and then our original reality, Eric and Arian. So it gets a little crazy when they show up. Will Nathan be in this book? Who's Nathan? Is it supposed to be Nathan? Do you mean Eric's dad? Eric's dad is in this book. I don't think I have somebody named Nathan. I'll have to clarify that. Is Tessa in Raised to Kura? So, yes, she is. Not in any sort of serious capacity right now. She is in this reality still going to end up with Paul in several years, and we'll see where that goes from there. But yeah, oh gosh, whose reality? One of the realities we know about, it's escaping my memory at the moment, but in one of those realities, Tessa's older, and we find out like her parents met at this like chance meeting several years earlier, so she actually ends up being Harold's mate in one reality because she's much older. So yeah, we'll see where she comes into play if she does. We've got a lot going on in this book, so I'm not sure. I can't believe I'm already over 100 pages with this book, guys. Are Jenna and Oscar still mates? They are. They just haven't met yet. So Jenna and Oscar, I know we didn't get into too much of them, but I know so much about them and like how their relationship is. I really like them together, so I'm going to keep them together in all realities because I think they're a lot of fun. Okay, Ramon said, do you mean Nathan Calvert? If so, Nathan is around. Nathan knows his brother. Yeah, so Nathan is around. He's around. He was actually raised by Lizzie in this book. So he is around. I don't know if we'll see him because we're not really focused on the hood in this book. So, but he is around. If that doesn't spark this one question I think people are going to ask, I'm going to be a little surprised. Is anyone going to ask where Noah is? But was Oscar raised in Frey since his dad didn't die? So Oscar, thank you, Amanda. Amanda asked where Noah is. Oscar was kind of raised part-time in both. So he still wanted to live with his mom, but he's a little bit more in our reality. He's a bit of a hippie type. We kind of saw like he was like, oh well, they're naked all the time, so I'm gonna be naked all the time. He was never around other children. He was always kind of like raised in the wilderness and the wild, so he was like, him showing up naked was just him trying to like, oh well, that's what you guys do, so I'm just fitting in with you guys. He just wasn't very he wasn't around a bunch of other people. So in this one, he was raised in Foray and in the human realm, like part-time with his parents, having custody. So Hansen is dead, yes, but where is Noah? So Noah is also dead in this reality. So when our original Haley popped to James and Allison and then brought Jordan in and told them all of what happened, that James and Jordan got their family together and they went after Hansen and they killed him. So upon hearing that news, Denise, who is really Betty, took Noah to their lake house and drowned both of them. So he's dead. After being in his headspace, he just had to go, guys. But Hansen is dead too. But yeah, that's why, and there might be other realities where that's not the case, where Noah is not dead. But I'm not going to have him with Sally in any other realities. I think our original Sally suffered enough for all of them. So just not going to have them be paired together if I decide not to kill them off in a different book. Sharon is a wolf/fairy. Haley is a Hakura/fairy. Are there other partial fairies, part human or part other hybrids? Absolutely there are. There are other partials running around. So, what are the other hybrids? Oh, so to me, they're, the only ones you're not going to see are enemies, serious enemies of the fairies. So there aren't any fairy goblins running around or frost giants. There are part fairy, part angels. There are part fairy, part demons. Those are very interesting to me because in my reality, we have our fairies being super selfish and all about themselves. And then you have demons who are kind of very similar in that aspect, but they're kind of, like, oh, I'm doing things for like gain. So they're kind of like the information givers of the realm. They're like, oh, well, you're going to pay me for something. Okay, so I'm going to give the information to you because I'm going to find it out. They're kind of like shit stirrers. They get their shit stirring stick and they just like run everything up for everybody. So the fairies that are half demons are really funny to me because they just like getting in so much trouble. And some of it's not really fun. Some of it's like, oh, I'm going to mess with this situation. But yes, there are other hybrids out there of fairies. What happened to the shifter boy in Emmeline's book? So we answered that in Emmeline's book. Alpha Kyle tells us that they found him and there was a family in his pack that took him in. So he's living in Red Run. So we may or may not see him in EJ's book. We'll have to see. But yeah, that is answered in Emmeline's book. Alpha Kyle's pack took him in because he's an orphan. So shifters can shift into anything they want because he's being raised in a pack and he falls in love with like the family that's raising him and Emmeline helped him. He usually just shifts into a wolf just to fit in. So, but that's where he is. But yeah, there are a lot of EJ and Elise's book to me is so interesting because we've got so much information coming out and so much going on. So many mates are found. So many hints are given. It's and we have their love story going on at the same time. It's like mind overload. Are there any wolf hybrids? We know Eric and Haley's kids and Sharon is, and we've heard of human wolf mixes. Will we meet any other wolf mixes? Yes, we will meet another wolf mix. I can't tell you what it is, but we will. What story are you most excited to tell in the future? Oh my gosh, most excited. Guys, this changes so much. After our poll that I posted for the ribbon realities, I got really excited about several of them. I got excited about all of them. I have no chill whatsoever. But I really just love, I read an outline and get really excited for it. I'm really excited about EJ's book because of all the setup that's going to be happening, and it's going to catapult us into Alexander's story, which I've just been teasing for so long, and there's so much that goes on in that book. I'm really excited about that one. Before I started Raised Sakura, I was so excited to start this book and have you guys see the differences in this Haley, but how she's still our Haley. So I don't know. I am really excited about starting EJ's book once this one is ready to be done. I'm still really excited about this book. Obviously, I have literally no chill for Alexander's book. So, and then, you guys got me all hyped for all of like my ribbon reality stories that I didn't even get to post all of because I was like, okay, we can't have this many options on a poll. We have to stop somewhere. So really excited for all those too. Is the siren character you're writing about a part fairy or part werewolf? We will find out. We'll find out if she's just a part siren or she's a part something else. So we will have to see what goes on there. And thank you, Andrea, because that just adds another one to the list I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about that book. Have no chill about any of these. How soon will Emmy be able to tell that her daughter is a soul searcher? She'll know right away. We see a lot of fairy babies that show powers before they are born, but Emmy is a soul searcher, so will she notice when she's pregnant? Yes, she will notice when she's pregnant. She knows right away which child it is. She has fairy senses, so that she knows right away which one of her children it is, just as she knows which one is the most powerful water fairy. And that's not because of anything that like happens while she's pregnant. It's because all the other fairies know, and specifically her dad. So they know who it is the whole time. But and obviously with that, like their children have tendencies towards one of their sides or another, and the one that's the most powerful, water fairy, has a love and a knack for Ray because he's more powerful in that side of him. So will we see our fearsome foursome go on vacation and just be blissed out with their mates? How to answer this? Okay, we see the fearsome foursome do a lot of stuff together. We might just see them taking a weekend trip with their guys and seeing how the guys deal with that because that's fun. But yeah, we might just see that. We see the fearsome foursome. We see a lot of we saw in the last chapter, like Haley is still Haley, and when somebody's in danger, she is going off like to help them. She heard Gunnar was in danger and she reacted in a split second, but she still called for Blade. Like that's ingrained in her. So she called for Blade. You do not often see this Haley run around without Lexi, Miley, and Emmeline. They're usually together. Will we see more of Astrid's family in this book? In this book? No. Maybe. I'm not really sure. We might see them a couple times. But not this book. Like her brother or her parents. We see her brother is mentioned several times. Her brother's Aaron. He's the commander of their armies. So he's mentioned a few times. He's trained with Haley. Haley babysits their kids. So, And we did see, like, Haley was like, oh, we could babysit your kid, and then it'll be good practice for Eric. But she's already established as Aaron's kid's babysitter. So we might see Eric and Haley babysitting in the Hecure realm. So, but her parents, I don't have a plan to introduce her parents in this book. So in the outline I have for Bjorn and Astrid, they're in there, obviously. But I really like that outline. It kind of gives a little bit into Bjorn, and him and Astrid are basically high school sweethearts. Like, he's always been around her. They're the same age. He's a little older. But they've always been kind of revolving around each other, kind of like Gunnar, Callista, and Harper have always been like together. Astrid and Bjorn are the same. So I like their outline. It gives a lot of, like, we see Bjorn, we know he's a great guy. So it gives a lot into them. I really like that outline too. I love the same about Marcus. So when will Lacey join the foursome? So Emmeline just met her. She just went off with Lucas and met her. Do we meet Veronica's parents? Not in this book, we don't. They're not around. So Veronica's parents were out on a mission and were killed, and Titus took revenge for that. But her parents are dead, so they're not in this book. Okay, when will Lacey join the foursome? So Lacey and Emmeline just met. So they're becoming friends right now as the book is going on. And see, that's the other thing I love about the Riven. Like, if I decided to, like, I could come back and write Lucas and Emmeline's story in this reality, and the same with Lexi and Chase. That's one thing I really do love about it. I to be blunt, I have an outline for both, and their story in this reality. I'm not sure how that would play out or when that would come out, but I do have outlines for both of them because I just like all the characters so much. What is Veronica's background? Like, was she from a powerful Hecura family like Astrid? Yes, Veronica is from a powerful family within the Hecura. So the king has, like, lords and all these other types of stuff. We haven't really seen them come into play because, I mean, he's got 9 sons and a daughter. Like, they run a lot of stuff. But she is a lord's daughter. So she is still from a powerful family. Not from the commander of the army's family, but she's still from a powerful family. She's very deadly herself. And she's fiercely protective of her children, of their children, and of him. So her background, yeah, like, she was raised as a lord's child. She didn't. So they have a whole realm. It's kind of like, you know, we have all of our different countries that we're from. So it's kind of like that. They're still in their realm. It's kind of, they can go all around. They have portals and stuff. But her and Titus did not meet until a banquet that was had that all the lords came to, and they realized they were mates. They were a little older when they met, so because they can meet their mates at 16, but they were a little older when they met because they weren't living in the same part of their realm. So, you know, we would love more of their stories in the Riven. I know, guys. I know. I love it too. That's one of the things when I came up with the Riven that I really loved, because it just opened it up. Like, obviously in this reality, Chase was never married. So he was free to be with Lexi as soon as he met her. And then obviously Lucas and Emmeline have a bit more angst because he's known this whole time. And then he found out she was in danger. And then when he got there, she wasn't there. So there's a bit more angst in their story, but now they're together. And but she was raised in Foray, so she's different, but still the same Emmeline that we know. So I really love that about this option. So, but yeah. Yeah, I really like all of the Hakura's background. I like all the wolves' backgrounds. When do we see more of Miley's brothers? They'll be around in this book a little bit more. I do have an outline on Miley and Jim. They're around a lot in that, and because we haven't even met from her mom's side, she has brothers on those sides too. We haven't met them. Yeah, I think the one we've heard the most about is Topher, and we know he's a doctor. So there's not really much that we know about them, but that's still something that, it's different and fun to write about. So there's just so many characters that there's just so many options for either, like short books, short outtakes, and things like that. So there's just so many characters. But yeah, I was really excited about Cassandra's outtake for a couple of reasons. We finally got some answers. We got some answers to Eric asked in the first book. He's like, someone finally paid you to save Luna Stephanie. But Bjorn wouldn't tell him who did. And then so we found out that it was actually Cassandra who raised the money and gave it to her mother to save her. And then we also found out a little bit about Nathan and his backstory. I love his backstory. I think Cassandra and Nathan went through fire together. Like they're in love. She is his mate. He knows who she is. He doesn't agree with everything she does, but he is there by her side. So I feel like that explains it. And once we get into their background a little bit more, it explains why he's just, thick and thin. They're each other's. Topher, like from the Night Shift. I might have taken the name from Night Shift. I like that show. But his character it's not really exactly like that guy. Is there a reason why the Hakura royal family only have boys? It's just a thing that I just decided with this reality where girls only happen like with off-period women and women of strength. Like Miley's kind of an exception in their realm because a lot of times the Hakura women do not have children with other Hakura who aren't their mate. But this was before Miley's mom met her mate, and Zader really liked her. She's a very strong warrior, and he and his mate agreed for them to try to have a baby, and then it ended up being a girl, and everybody was really excited because Miley's a little older than Haley. So everyone was really excited about that. Did someone curse the royal family to only have boys? No, they didn't. It's just a decision I made as an author. Who are Bexley's parents in this book? Phelan and Phelan's lover. We haven't actually named Bexley's dad, but Bexley's parents are the same. But, okay. I'm going to sign off here in like 6 minutes. I got to go mow my grass. Yay. But you guys can keep asking questions. I will keep answering them. Is Haley still obsessed with Dr. Pepper? Yes, she loves Dr. Pepper in all realms, in all realities. So probably a bit more so in this realm because she was raised with her brothers, and Marcus was always drinking. It's Marcus's favorite drink, and he's her older brother, and she really looks up to him. I like this reality because we see our original Haley is really close with all her brothers, but obviously her and Marcus have an undeniable connection in the first book. But in this book, we kind of see they all have that with her. Specifically, Logan, I've really liked writing their connection because they're the two youngest siblings. So obviously they are close. But she has a special relationship with Bjorn and Marcus and Drake and Evan and his tech, all of them. So I've really liked that. I hope original Haley fixes Xander. So that is something that obviously they have to come into this reality and find out. So Will we be seeing Astrid or Torvi have another kid? Yes. Yes, we will. There, we see them have other kids. We saw with Astrid with when Torvi was pregnant with Spencer, she's like, oh, I always have a crib on hand just in case. Like, she wants a family. So, and so does Bjorn. So. And, Katie's now living there with them. So to her, 3 kids was kind of cap. But now that she's in their realm and sees how many kids they have, she's like, yeah, why not? So for her, it's like, we're not doing an off period, Logan, but we can have a lot of kids because you've got a lot of money. So why not? Is kind of her. And, she's enjoying being where she is. So we see more kids throughout the time. And that's another thing I'm really excited about EJ's book for is we see Bjorn's coronation. So really excited about that. Will Haley and Eric send more packs into Heat? We know that they will because some of Lexi's kids are because of them. So we know that they do that. Will any of the royal grandbabies live with Haley part-time like the brothers do? Do you mean in Haley and Eric's territory? Will they live in Haley and Eric's territory? Yes, that is what you mean. Okay. They kind of go in and out. In our original reality, Bjorn and Marcus are kind of like figures there. Obviously, when Bjorn becomes king, that changes a little bit for him. He's still around, but he does have responsibilities and he does have to stay there a little bit longer. So he's still around, but he's also, he's more in and out. Their kids go in and out too because they're really close with Haley's kids, and Haley's kids can pop and go wherever they want. So they kind of go all over. So yeah, all the kids kind of just go in and out of each other's lives because they can get there easily. So their kids do come and spend time there. How many kids do Aiden and Lucinda have in this reality? In Race to Cura, right now they have 6. That was mentioned in one of the last few chapters, but right now they have 6. Aiden wants more, and so does Lucinda. So we'll see them have more kids in our original reality too, now that they're back together. But in this reality, they were never apart. So how old are the Hakura when they learn to open a portal? They are 5 when they learn to open a portal. But okay, guys, 1 more minute and I gotta get going. Those 4 parents. Oh yeah. But the parents teach them how to do it because they could figure it out on their own once they turn 5. So it's done under supervision. And they're a very strict group of people. So it's not like the fairies, once they learn to pop, they're just mischievous and popping all over the place. The Hakura are a bit more structured. So you've got your kids who are kids opening portals for fun and like tossing rocks into it or whatever. But they're not like fairies where it's just like, oh, you taught me how to pop, now I'm just going to be everywhere all the time. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you guys for joining me in this live. I enjoy talking to you guys. I will definitely get on here again next week. Not sure if it will be, if it's in the afternoon, it's because I got my editing done. But either that or it'll be after my son goes to sleep. So, but love you guys. Love chatting with you, and I will talk to you later. Have a good afternoon.